Hello. Thank you for tuning in once again to Queen Amadai TV presents More Than Meets the Third Eye. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. So I'm going to wait for some more people to roll on in. Just wait for people to roll on in, right? I'm late doing this. I was supposed to start at 12:30. As I initially said, I initially said I was going to start at 12:30, but due to circumstances beyond my control, okay, I had some contractors come in, and so therefore I had to wait until they finished doing their work because it was quite noisy. So I had to wait until they finished doing their work before I could get started, okay? So hello, Nikisha, Nathalie, Metasimplicus, Desmond, Ms. Bless, Woke One, TJ, Rick, Hiram X, Cole, Howard, Asha, Silent D. Okay, so thank you, lovely people, for tuning in for your spiritual vitamins. So, hello, King Legine, the goddess V, Lee. All right. Cole says you can't rush perfection. Oh, Cole, thank you for your kind words, beloved. You are just too much. Okay, so listen. Now, with that all being said, okay, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Listen, this is going to be brief. I really just wanted to talk to you all about some of the things that we're going through. CCB says, hello, Queen. I've been waiting on this one for weeks. Thank you, Queen. Well, thank you, beloved. Okay? Karma Code says, we blackity black. Absolutely. So listen, I want to just, talk about some of the things that we've been enduring and going through. The spiritual warfare that we're all currently engaged in. I hope you have been praying, meditating, manifesting, doing your daily affirmations, staying high vibrational. And I know it's hard, but at the end of the day, we need to be tuning in with the great spirits, people, right? We need to be tuned in to the great spirit. Now, that is not just the creator, the Most High. We always need to stay plugged into the Most High, but also your own inner spirit, the great spirit that is within you, the part of you that knows that even though you're an individual spiritual being, you are interwoven and interconnected with other people on this planet through energy strands, right? Through different unique life experiences. Okay? So here's the thing. The times that we're going through are getting harder and harder to endure. We're seeing people's freedoms and liberties and rights snatched away from them. We're seeing some people complicit in it. We're seeing some who fight back against it, who resist. Now, the thing is, many of people, Nikisha says no Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they're all shut down. Honey, let me tell you something. Get ready for a false flag. I told you all, I have been telling you all for weeks, something nefarious is coming, right? I have told you all that I believe there's going to be a false flag coming soon, but also I want you to remember that what did I tell you all? And I've been telling you all this for months. I said something nefarious is going to happen between the end of September through mid-October. All right? So pay attention. Oh, don't worry, Pearly, honey. Don't worry about being late. What is in you comes out of you, Queen. Absolutely. Absolutely. So here's the thing. There's some people who will speak out and they will resist, right? They will fight against the machine, the system, the powers that shouldn't be. There are some people who would be complicit by their silence. They don't want to speak out because they are fearful of what they stand to lose. They may feel like they'll lose their jobs, their positions, right? Their money, whatever. Some people are not going to say anything because of those circumstances. At the end of the day, if you just lay down your weapons, and by that I mean your spiritual weapons, right? You're supposed to have yourself covered in the whole armor of God, the Most High. So if you just lay down your spiritual weapons and say, you know what? I'm just going to be silent. I'm not going to say anything lest I be cast out, lest I be demonized. I'm just going to keep quiet and let everyone else or someone else do the work or talk the good talk or fight the good fight. Now, if you're willing to do that, you should also be willing to die. Okay? Because at the end of the day, death is coming for many of us during these times. There's going to be a mass death in the United States. I'm telling you that right now. For those of us who were wondering years ago, back in I think it was 2009, when we saw those, those plastic tubs that were like 6 feet long and they were big enough to put a whole human body in. We saw those things coming in by the truckloads on the trains and all of that. And we may have wondered, what is that all about? Why are they bringing those things in? Let me tell you something. I knew from seeing those, and many of you knew it too, that the government was preparing something nefarious. Okay? Now we should clearly know what the whole thing is. And with that all being said, C Mommy Mac says, this is very much needed, Queen. I just experienced a loss, and spiritual guidance is what I need from you, not preacher. Thank you, beloved. Thank you. So with that all being said, listen, we have to prepare ourselves for what's coming ahead. And those of us who are brave enough to speak out against it, who are brave enough to acknowledge the wickedness that is going on in this world, the spiritual warfare that has been waged against the citizens, you need to speak out. You need to stand up. You need to make your voice known. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing. These devils, they're taking away your free will. You see, the free will that we have been given from birth from the Most High, that allows you to choose between good and bad, right and wrong, right? And when they censor people and they refuse to allow both sides of the story to be told, when there's only one narrative allowed to be pushed and there's a nefarious agenda and no one can speak anything against it, no matter how contrary or, no one can say anything against it. That's only showing you one side of the coin. That's not giving you free will. When people are telling you that if you don't do what we say, you won't be able to go to work. Your children won't be able to go to school. You won't be able to go to the grocery store to purchase food. That's not giving you free will. That's making you instead bend to their will. Now, what you need to be asking yourself is, are you going to bend to their will, the will of the wicked, nefarious devils who are clearly the minions of Satan himself? Or are you going to bend or stand fast and firm to the will of the Most High? The Most High gives us inalienable human rights that no one can take away or deny us. We don't have to ask. That's just what we have. Now, if you're going to sit there and allow people to take away your freedoms and liberties and you're not going to say anything or whatever, then just get ready for the worst. If you're going to go down without a fight, then I don't need or want you on my team. Because at the end of the day, we should all go out swinging. All right? That's why I tell you all, we have to stay high vibrational. We have to avoid the fear-mongering tactics that they try to use. All of the wicked things they say. These people that act as though they have people's best interests in mind are the same ones demonizing and vilifying people for having contrary beliefs, opinions, and ideologies. They're the same ones wishing sickness, ill will, and death and destruction on those who don't comply with the so-called status quo and what their agenda is. So that should tell you these people don't really care anything about your health. If they did, they wouldn't be saying all of these things, right? And also, there is something much more sinister at work here, people. You see, sometimes what we're looking at, what we can see right in front of us, right ahead, what we're looking at, that isn't even the problem. It's what's going on behind that, the things that we cannot see, right? The things that we are oblivious to. It is those things that are often the worst. And so with that all being said, Davida says, exactly, Queen, something tells me that 2022 may be the rapture of deaths for those who took venom in the clinical trials and all of that. Let me tell you something. The Queen Adiyah says, come on now, Queen EST-Recognizing. Facts, you can feel the evil in the atmosphere heavy, says Nevermind 54. Absolutely. Or 56. Yes, absolutely. You can feel it in the atmosphere. You can walk outside and feel the toxicity in the air. You know that something nefarious is afoot. And I have been saying this for weeks because I have felt it in my spirit. Okay? I have seen it in the faces and the eyes of some of these people who are complicit with this whole new world order, with all of this BS, right, that's being pushed. You can hear it in their voices when they speak. These are the voices of demonic entities. You know, let me tell you something. I was talking to a friend yesterday and I was telling them about these parasitic entities, right? These hosts, these or who look for hosts, these parasitic entities that are clearly satanic and demonic and want to absorb the energy of the spiritually in tune people. These things go out looking for a host. And those who are not spiritually connected to the Most High, those who are not high vibrational, they will often seek out those because they love the low vibrational beings and entities. They love to absorb and take their energy and then plant these wicked thoughts into the minds of these people. A lot of times when these things happen, people unwittingly believe these are their own thoughts manifesting. But it's not your own thoughts. When you have, something telling you, oh, you should kill yourself, it's not going to get any better. No one likes you. Things are only going to get worse. Don't you just want to die? Those type of things, these are the things that drive people to suicide, right? And these are these satanic entities and energies that people allow themselves to be consumed with because they fall for the fear mongering and the low vibrations. The only way to surpass these things is to stay high vibrational and to think positively. And I know it's hard because of all the things that we're going through, with food shortages, right? People losing their jobs, people being evicted, homelessness, all types of things, sickness, you name it. Watching people that you love pass away, right? So it's very important that we stay high vibrational and stay in tune and surround yourself with like-minded people. People who are on the same course or on one accord of your type of thinking and survival. This is the time that everyone's survival instincts should be kicking in. You should be asking yourself, what am I going to do or what do I need to do to survive what is coming down the pipe? Because ignoring it, acting as though it's not going to happen, that's not going to stop it. That's definitely not going to stop it. Louise says, yes, Queen, parasites regard no one but self. They have no concept of symbiosis. Absolutely, beloved. Absolutely. Thank you for your insight to the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Now, here's the thing. We need to realize that everything on this planet lives and survives based off of some other energy other than itself, outside of itself. Even though we're individual energies and entities and spirits, we are connected to other people. We are connected to life forces from other people and other things, such as the animals, the plants, the trees, right? Nature in general. We're connected to these things. And that is how you have to find your mutual peace. You have to stay connected to the source. Because all of these things that I just named, the elements, earth, wind, water, fire, right? All of these things come from the Most High. So you have to stay connected to the source. And by doing so, you stay in tune with nature, the elements, the sun, the moon, all of the Most High's creations. Realizing that you should draw strength and energy from these things. So you don't have to just fight this battle by yourself. Because let me tell you something. Sometimes when we feel alone and we feel like there's no one there to pick us up, when we feel like there's no one there to guide us, to lead us, to encourage us, to inspire us, we start to feel downtrodden. We start to feel low vibrational. Misery sets in. Depression sets in. And before we know it, we are stressed out, worried. And all of that contributes to sickness, weakened immune systems, right? Feelings of self-loathsomeness, right? Low self-esteem, and all of these things. At the end of the day, you have to hone into the Great Spirit. The Great Spirit is the connection from the Most High, the source, the creator, that is connected to your inner self, your own spirit. Combining your own spirit with the Most High, the creator, that is what is known as the Great Spirit. And you have to understand that, and you have to try to be in tune with that, right? You know, spirituality is the art of science that basically allows us to understand that our spiritual techniques help us to manifest and create the reality that we want through manifestation, through breathing exercises, yoga, silent contemplation. You know, you have to use these techniques to quieten the chaos in the mind, which usually comes from the ego. Because you see, the ego worries about what other people think. The ego is concerned with how we look. The ego is concerned about, you know, material things, how people view us and see us. Like I always tell you, honey, whatever somebody thinks about me, that's not my business. That's not even my concern. That's their problem. Whether you think ill of me or whether you think good of me, right? That's really not my business. But so many of us spend our times and days just worrying about what other people are going to think of us. So we don't want to say anything because we think we'll be, you know, criticized. We don't want to stand up for what we believe in because we think we'll be demonized. We don't want to fight for what's right because we feel we'll be shamed. So we sit back silently and say nothing and do nothing and are hoping that someone else will take the lead and that someone else will fight the good fight. At the end of the day, silence is complicit. Okay, so if you're not willing to speak out, if you're not willing to say something in your own defense, why should you expect anyone else to do so? They're going around here cutting off water supplies, purposely trying to create a famine, leaving food at the ports, destroying crops, pouring out thousands of gallons of milk, saying that you can't buy things, certain things unless they allow you to, saying you can't purchase firearms. You can't purchase but so much ammunition within a given time frame. Do you all see what this is? At the end of the day, there's certain things that we are owed and that we are privy to, right? And if you're just going to let somebody just come along and willfully just snatch these things up from you and you're not going to say anything, that's just crazy. What world do we live in when we don't have free will? You have a choice. You always have a choice. And as I always tell you, you wake up every day with two things, a chance and a choice. Now, if you allow someone to deprive you of those, then shame on you. This is spiritual warfare. We know that famine and disease and all these things are coming. You know, I did the video weeks ago about the 4 horses of the apocalypse. And if you missed that, please tune into that broadcast. It was very insightful. At the end of the day, we can only prepare ourselves for a defense. We can only strategize when we acknowledge what is going on, what is happening, when we know, realize, and acknowledge who the real enemy is. You see, a lot of us are down here fighting and bickering amongst ourselves, and we're not even the problem. It's not us that's the problem. It's the global elite. It's the powers that shouldn't be. It's the ones trying to dictate and determine our own fates. It's the ones trying to put our backs up against the wall and tell us this is what you're going to do. And if you don't do it well, you'll suffer the consequences. Now, Forever King says, Queen, thank you for the great work that you do. Black peoples in the Black community love you dearly. Thank you, beloved. Thank you for your kind words and your contribution. And guess what? I love you all right, Black. Okay? Queen Adaya says, yes, this is a spirit of confusion and chaos. The Most High is not of confusion. Exactly. The Most High is not the author of confusion. Man is that. Okay? The men that take on demonic entities and energies, the men who want to act as minions for the satanic ones themselves, the ones who worship Moloch, Baal, Baphomet, right? The ones who conduct this spiritual wickedness in high places, the dark, low vibrational beings who want to steal the light from your very spirit. You see, that's why these people, they don't want you praying together. They don't want you sharing information. Each one teach one. Well, they want to cut all of that out because they never intended for the internet to be used for that in the first place. They just want you to get on here and BS, you know, talk about celebrity gossip, talk about things that are of no benefit to you, things that are so unimportant, minuscule things. They don't want you talking about survival, strategizing about how you can fight to gain your liberation and freedom, how you can unify, how you can support the people within your own community to build generational wealth, to talk about spirituality, spiritual connectedness to the Most High. They don't want you praying together, worshiping together, fellowshipping together, loving together, right? Because remember, love is the highest vibration of all. Instead, they want to condone and they want to push hate. They want to give you wickedness. They want to make you feel like, hopeless. Like there's nothing left to live for. Like there's no hope. Like this is just as good as it gets. But I'm here to tell you this is not as good as it gets. The devils think it is. And right now the devils clearly have the upper hand. But let me tell you something. It doesn't have to be that way. The reason these devils have the upper hand is because there's so many people who are allowing themselves to bend to the devil's will. And the people that are doing so, I find it very interesting because these people clearly have no faith in the Most High. If you walk by faith and not by sight, you would not be caught up in the devil's matrix. You will be woven instead into the spiritual living matrix. Okay? The spiritual living matrix gives you the connection to the Most High that you need to survive. And you look and lean to the Most High. Not to man or his own understanding, because we know that man can be wicked and clearly nefarious. But people that refuse to unplug, people that continue to be led blindly to the slaughter, people who refuse to listen and heed the warning signs, people who don't want to hear the truth spoken, who are complicit and blissful in their ignorance and listening to lies and deceit, those people, many of them do so because they are just afraid to put up a fight. So rather than put up a fight, rather than to argue or resist, they would rather just go along to get along because, hey, that's easy to do. I don't know whoever told them that living would be easy, that surviving would be easy, because it's not. Living is hard. We go through struggles and pains and ups and downs, right? Through good and bad. We suffer losses. But at the same time that you're going through all of these things, if you allow yourself to have an open mind and exercise common sense and critical thinking skills, you can use these things, whether they're negative or not, you can use them to your benefits. Because like Frederick Douglass said, without struggle, there is no progress. Anything that doesn't break you should build you up and make you stronger. We should all be trying to fight for survival. We should all be fighting together, not being divisive, not arguing and hating on one another and bickering amongst ourselves, trying to tear one another down, not denying who the real enemy is. Some of us right now don't even want to acknowledge who the enemy is. They say, oh, well, why would the government do this? They would never do that to their own people. Of course they would. Of course they would. Many of the wicked and nefarious things that have been done in this country were done by the own government. That's just facts. The same government that goes to other foreign countries and tries to tell them what they need to be doing. So we cannot trust in man. We have to trust in the Most High. And when you listen to your spirit, because that's how the Most High speaks to you, through your consciousness. But the only way you will hear what the Most High is saying, the only way you will be able to receive the messages, the downloads, is if you are truly in tune. If you are open-minded and can think outside the box. If you can use your third eye, if your pineal gland is activated, then you can rise to higher levels of consciousness and you can understand. And you can see the big picture. And you can know, you will know, that Babylon, you see, Babylon is falling. And in an effort to sustain itself, in an effort to continually exist, it has to destroy those who are destined to bring them down. Okay? That's what we have to realize. Now, Monica says, you are the best queen. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you, beloved, for your kind words and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Jan says, the greater the struggle, the greater the victory. Absolutely, beloved. Absolutely. Thank you for your insight and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Queen Adaya says, our time is coming. Continue to be ready and prepared. Absolutely. Absolutely. You see, the ones who are in control right now, the ones who are in power right now, they are working with a dark force. Okay? They are not working by themselves, because you say, well, how do they have all this power and control? Well, there's only 1% of them and 99% of us. That's because they have spiritual help. This is spiritual warfare. But here's the thing. When we talk about spirituality, when we talk about spiritual warfare and the spiritual realm, we have to also acknowledge that there's not only good spirits who come to aid and rescue us and guide us. There are also wicked, nefarious, dark spirits, right? So when people say to you, oh, I'm spiritual, I'm a spiritual person, what kind of spiritual person are you? Are you a wicked, demonic spiritual person? Because demons are spiritual too, right? They come from the spiritual realm as well. Now, are you a wicked spiritual person, or are you a light worker, a giving, kind, loving, inspirational spiritual person who's interconnected with nature and also connected to the Most High? Because there is a difference. So don't just be listening to someone because they tell you, oh, I'm spiritual. These people, these global elites that are doing all these things, causing and creating all this pandemonium, they're spiritual. Wickedly spiritual. Okay? When we're sitting here praying to the Most High and getting signs from the Most High and being in tune with the Most High, they're in tune with the Antichrist energy. Okay? That's where they're getting their signs from. That's where their consciousness is being lowered to, that low vibration. This is a war not between black and whites, not between any other ethnic group. This is a war between good and evil. And we should be asking ourselves, whose side are we going to be on? Because here's the thing. Some of these people who have been complicit, some of these people who have agreed to drink the Kool-Aid, the sad thing is they don't realize that they've made their decision by doing so. You see, they've already chosen the side that they're going to be on, and sadly, they're on the wrong side. They've taken a walk on the dark side. Because those of us that are down with the Most High, those of us that want to walk and bask in the light and in the glory of the Creator, we stand fast on our beliefs and we stand firm and we have no fear, because the Most High doesn't give us a spirit of fear nor confusion. So we already know what we're going to do and what we should be doing, right? And we have faith, and our faith is strong. And faith is belief in things unseen. Here's the thing, though. The people who have little faith, oh ye of little faith, those people who have allowed themselves to be led to the slaughter, those people had no faith. They may have thought they did, but they didn't. If they had any faith in the Most High Creator, they would have not allowed themselves to be taken in by devils into a satanic agenda, a low vibrational place. And if you wonder why they are being so, so divisive and discriminatory against people who disagree with their ideology, the organic ones, which is what we are, if you wonder why they're wishing all of this death and destruction upon the organic people, that's because they are satanic. You see, once you indulge in drinking the Kool-Aid, that wicked, nefarious, low down, vibrational, serpents-like satanic energy consumes you. It takes a hold of you. It's like I've talked to you before about demonic possession, right? There's 3 stages. First, you have oppression, when you start to feel sad and downtrodden and nothing seems to go right. Everything's all negative and you're pessimistic rather than optimistic. That's the first stage. Then the infestation. It's when the energy starts to begin to consume you till you can't think clearly. You can't focus on anything positive. And when you try to meditate, you hear chatter in the background of your mind and you cannot focus. And when you look into your mind's eye, you only see wicked, demonic faces. You don't see the faces of the ancestors. You don't see the beautiful world that the Most High has created. You don't see the beautiful spirit that is within your own self. You cannot see that. You can't even find it. You can't hear the ancestors calling you, beckoning you, trying to lead you out of it. This is all what happens when you allow demonic energies and entities to consume you, because they also consume your thoughts. And then you start having these wicked thoughts, wishing death and destruction on other people. Oh, if they don't do this and that, then they should be shot. Oh, if they don't do this and that, then they shouldn't be allowed to do this. You start thinking like that. Wickedness, consumed with the wickedness. And some people don't even realize they're consumed with it. And then it becomes a thing of us against them. Now it's the whole war. Never realizing that the war should not be between those of us regular people that are just here minding our own business, right? That the war is against the 1% that is pulling all the strings, the puppet masters. Those are the people you should be at war with. Those are the ones dictating everything. Those are the ones snatching up your rights and freedoms. Those are the ones casting doubts on those who speak the truth, calling them liars and conspiracy theorists. Those are the ones doing those things. But some people have given their allegiance. They've pledged their allegiance to those powers that shouldn't be. Brandon says they forget that when they make a deal with the devil, he always comes to collect, and now they don't want to pay. Run it. They doing all this and still lost. That, beloved, is the sad truth. Thank you for that insight and your contribution to the channel. That is the sad truth. That's absolutely right. You see, the reason people make the deals with the devil, some people do it for material things, for monetary gain. But in the cases that we're living in right now, the times that we're living in, a lot of people are doing it because they don't want to give up the things that make them comfortable. They don't want to give up the things that make them comfortable. Sometimes in a fight for freedom and liberation, a fight for justice, a fight for what's right, a fight for good versus evil, you will be extremely uncomfortable. You will be extremely uncomfortable, but that is the price you have to pay. You have to sacrifice, okay, in order to get ahead. Excuse me. Brandon says the devils think they're doing something. They're setting themselves up in the private to be cast down in public. Absolutely. Absolutely, beloved. And thank you for that insight and your contribution. This is so very true. Broken Silence says, yep, you don't realize until you're consumed. That's right. And by the time you're consumed completely, it's too late. It is too late. It's like someone setting a fire. Now you walk in and there's a small fire. You can stomp it out, right? You can pour water on it and put it out. But if you see that small fire and you just ignore it and you walk back out and say, you know what, I'll just tend to that later. And you come back and the whole place is engulfed in flames. It's consumed. It's too late then. It's too late to save anything, to salvage anything. And this is what some of these inorganic people are going to realize. It's too late now to salvage their own souls. Okay? Because they have allowed themselves to be consumed with the fear-mongering, with the people telling them you're not going to be able to do this and that, right? They've allowed themselves to be fooled and tricked, caught up in the matrix, refusing to unplug, and they have allowed themselves to be consumed. And once you cross that threshold, there's no turning back. Some things cannot be undone. Some things cannot be unseen, and bells cannot be unrung once the sound has already been heard. So with that all being said, a lot of these people, they have realized, or they will soon realize, too late, unfortunately, the error of their ways. That they should have stood fast on their beliefs. That they should not have allowed someone to make them bend to their will. That they should have realized that you have the ability to have free will. No one should be able to take that from you. No one should be able to tell you you're going to do this or you can't do that. When you're an adult, you make your own decisions about your own life. You create and manifest your own reality. And I'm going to tell you like this, people. If you're worried about what's coming down the pipe, because I know a lot of people are worried and whatever, let me just tell you this. There's no need to worry about things that you can't change. What you should be doing instead of worrying is strategizing and planning. Okay? And keeping positive thoughts and vibrations and putting your trust and faith in the Most High. Because I can guarantee you the Most High will lead you through this. Okay? The Most High will lead you through this if you allow the Most High to do so. If you are faithful, if you are optimistic, if you show no fear, be fearless, not fearful. And if you stay righteous and determined and stand fast in your beliefs and stand up and speak out for what you believe in, you'll be okay. You see, at the end of the day, evil never wins. That's what we all have to realize. You see, the evil ones, they never win. It may look like they have the upper hand right now. It may look like they're winning the game. It may look like everything is going in their favor, but trust and believe, things are not always what they seem. Things are not always what they seem, by far. One thing that I know is I never worry about these devils. I don't worry about them. Whatever nefarious, wicked things they do, I make sure I know what they're doing. I understand what they're doing. I understand who's doing it, who's behind it, and what's driving it. And so I just start planning how to counter it. And the best way to counter it in spiritual warfare is to put on the whole armor of God. Put on the whole armor of God. Stick to your guns when your hardest hits, right? You have to stay high vibrational, rise above. Don't let the enemy drag you down to their level. And here's the thing I want to mention too. Somebody put in my chat, I think it was yesterday. I went back, sometimes I go back and I read my chats on my lives or whatever so I can get insight into what people are saying and thinking, because I can't read it all while I'm talking. So I go back and I read, and I saw, I think it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, that someone said, that the other people, Esau, would be taken into slavery. Let me say this about that. Here's the thing. Wicked thinking only yields wicked results. Now, I'm not saying you should be submissive. I'm not saying you should allow yourself to be subjugated. But there's a difference in wicked thinking as opposed to strategic thinking. So let me explain the difference. This person was basically saying, well, our ancestors were enslaved. And the Bible says those who took people into bondage or captivity will be taken into captivity. Now, I've told you many times that the Bible is allegorical. So you need not take everything in the Bible literally. But if in your thinking you feel that because we were taken into slavery, now we need to take these other people into slavery, that's not what the Most High was telling you. Because here's the thing. If you know how nefarious they were to have taken our ancestors into slavery and all the wicked things they did to them, and if you want to literally do those things to them, that makes you no better than them and makes you just as wicked, nefarious, and low vibrational as them. And if you are that, how can you be righteous? And if you aren't righteous, how can you rise to higher levels of consciousness? And if you can't rise to higher levels of consciousness, how can you then use your third eye and activate your pineal gland and raise the Kundalini energy or the Christ-like energy, the energy, the higher self, the energy of your higher self? How can you do any of those things when you're thinking of wickedness, of revenge, right? At the end of the day, you should be strategizing. Because here's the thing. We don't have to sit here and plot to do the same things to them they did to us, because that would make us just like them, right? So we'd have no reason to demonize them if we're going to do the same thing. But what you can do is strategize how to counter any wicked thing that they even think or dream of doing to you in the future. That's all you have to do. And if that strategy includes taking them captive, then that's what you have to do. Because the mind should be focused on survival. Self-preservation is the first rule in law of nature. So if in preserving yourself and your loved ones, you have to do that, then that's one thing. But just to do it out of revenge or because it was done to us, that's just wickedness. The righteous thing is to do what you have to to survive, right? At the end of the day, to do what you have to gain your own freedom and liberation and independence, and to have your free will that you were born with. That's a whole nother level of thinking. Not just to sit there and say, you know what, they did this to us, so we're going to do this to them. We're going to do them just like they did us, and if not worse. You don't want to be thinking that way, because that's just wickedness. And if you want to be wicked, then you can liken yourself to the demonic entities, to satanic agendas, right? To those who worship Baphomet and Moloch. You can liken yourself to them. But if you want to be a righteous person, then you do just what needs to be done. And you strategize on how to survive and get from one stage of the game to the next. That's all. Doesn't mean that you have to bow down. Doesn't mean that you have to say, oh, I forgive them for all they did. Because here's the thing. You don't have to forgive people for things they do. That's up to you. That's free will, right? And I know some Christians would love to tell you, oh, you have to forgive everybody because Jesus forgave everybody and this, that, and the third. And that's absolutely not true. Anyone who really knows the Bible and who really has studied it and read it, you know that absolutely everyone was not forgiven, right? The Pharaoh enslaved the Hebrews, and they received the plagues that were sent upon them by the Most High. The people of Sodom and Gomorrah went against God, and they were doing all sorts of nefarious things, and their city was destroyed, except for the righteous few, which was Lot and his family. So with that all being said, even though those are allegories, those can serve to tell you that at the end of the day, when you do what is right, that's all you need to worry about. You don't have to forgive people for doing wrongs against you. Some people say, oh, I'll forgive you, but I won't forget you. Well, honey, if you can't forget it, you truly didn't forgive. Because to forgive is to forget. When you forgive someone, you don't hold it over their head later and bring it back up later when you get mad. So you don't have to forgive people, and you absolutely don't have to forgive people who don't ask for it. That's what you don't have to do. That's just crazy to me anyway. People say God always forgives. Well, in the Bible, if God always forgave, why did God destroy his enemies? So I'm just saying, a lot of people set unrealistic expectations, and they want you to do what the Most High himself, in the Bible at least, didn't do, right? Margatina says, thank you, Queen. This message is right on time. No one around me wants to acknowledge what is happening, planning that needs to be done. Absolutely. And people around me too, beloved. Thank you for your insight and your kind words and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Let me tell you something. There's people around me, family members, right, who absolutely don't want to acknowledge what's going on. And they'll call me a whole conspiracy theorist and act like I'm the one that's crazy. Need to be sitting here in a tinfoil hat. And they actually think that they made wise choices and decisions. And these are people who are much more into the church than I am, because I don't even go to church. I stopped going to church a long time ago when I started realizing that a lot of these pastors are nothing but pulpit pimps, and they're all there making church into a business so they can catch bags. I don't have time for that. Okay? I don't have time for that. So I have my own personal relationship with the Most High. I have conversations with the Most High. I meditate, fast, and pray. And that's all I need to do. Because at the end of the day, we are the temple of God. Not a building that was made by man, but us, ourselves, right? So with that all being said, I have people who go to church every Sunday, and they had no faith, apparently, because had they had any faith, they wouldn't have allowed people outside of themselves to force them to comply or do things that they knew that they really didn't want to do. So where was their faith? But they want to talk about people like us who stand fast and firm on our beliefs. So pay attention. Don't be fooled by them, because they're all putting up facades. And they'll want to sit there and criticize and demonize and vilify you. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that have damned themselves by doing what they've done. Right? When you indulge in wicked, nefarious agendas, you make yourself a part of that agenda. Now, you could say someone made you do it. No one makes you do anything, because at the end of the day, you have something called free will. People can tell you, oh, you don't have a choice, but you always have a choice. You have a choice to comply or not to comply. You have a choice to be silent or a choice to speak out. You have a choice to act or not to act. And that's just the truth. So Davida says, some here, they going to perish. I'm sorry. They think I'm crazy. And one Karen told me I was reading the Bible wrong. I told her to smack herself with it and get a better understanding. Oh, this is crazy. You know, some people really love to tell you when you start saying things about the scripture that they disagree with, because they don't have the understanding that you have, because they're not using their third eye, because clearly their third eye blind. They love to tell you that you don't have an understanding. They love to tell you that, in fact, you're taking it out of context, right? That's what they love to tell you. You know, I have a relative who was trying to debate me about the Bible one day, about certain scriptures. And they, in fact, told me, after I started breaking it down to them, said, listen, you should not take this literally. This is allegorical, right? Even in the Bible, when Jesus spoke, he spoke in parables to the multitude of people. And when he could not speak in parables, he did not speak. Whenever Jesus spoke to the multitude of people, it was always in parables. So the Bible is clearly allegorical. Some people don't want to hear that. And so this family member told me one day when we were going back and forth, and I was trying to enlighten them. They were getting so angry because I was going against their narrative of what they were thinking. And they told me, they said, you're reading the Bible in the natural, not in the spirit. That's what they told me. You're reading it in the natural, not in the spirit. And you know what I told them? And they said, to read the Bible and get an understanding, you have to be righteous. So I asked them, are you righteous? And they said, yes. What makes you more righteous than me? Have you not sinned? Because I have, but you have sinned equally, right? So what makes you more righteous than me? What makes you more righteous than me? Right? And then when they said to me, you're reading the Bible in the natural, not in the spirit, and you cannot comprehend it unless you're reading in the spiritual. You know what I told them? Honey, the spirit is in the natural. Because the spirit of oneself is organic. That's the natural. So if you're saying to me, I'm reading it in the natural, yes, I absolutely am. In the natural spirit, the great spirit. So what are you talking about? Because I know the connection between my spirit and the Most High. I already know this. I have a connection, a oneness. But you know why they felt comfortable telling me that? It was simply because I don't go to church. They go to church every Sunday, right? So they feel like because I don't go to church, I'm not righteous. That's basically what they were saying. I knew what they were getting at. But, you know, some people think because they go to church, they're more righteous than you. That's not true, because they have devils and demons sitting right up in the church pews. Okay? They have pastors in there robbing the congregation of their money, running game. And I'm not saying all, but I'm just making examples. They have deacons in there sleeping around with other people's women sleeping around with other people's men. They have demons and wickedness right in there sitting on the pews. So if someone thinks that because they go to church and you don't, that they're more righteous than you and more deserving than you, more faithful than you, they sound crazy. Because it doesn't matter what building you go and sit in. It matters what's in your heart, in your mind, and in your spirit. And so, like I told him, yes, I'm reading it and understanding it in the natural spirit, the great spirit. Okay? Queen Adaya says the spirit is within us. We are spirits. Absolutely. We are divine spiritual beings living a human experience. And so let me say this, and then I'm going to conclude this broadcast. But let me say this. At the end of the day, you know, we all fall short of the glory of God. None of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. We all have things about ourselves that we probably are not proud of. We all have things that we've done that we regret. We wish we could go back in time and change it. At the end of the day, never allow someone to make you feel less than or make you feel bad about yourself because of mistakes that you've made, poor choices or decisions, right? Or because you didn't know certain things that you now know. You know, because I was talking to someone and they told me, how did they put it? They said, They were still blinded by the lights. You know, they were still caught up and plugged into the matrix. I said we all were at one point. We weren't just born into the world knowing everything. We weren't just born into the world, you know, being able to see past the smoke screens and the facades and the sham and the matrix that we were born into. We weren't. But you learn it as you grow. And the way you continue to grow and learn and evolve is to have an open mind, is to be willing to talk to people, to understand people, to share ideas and thoughts with people. And like I told someone just today, you know, people say great minds think alike. Well, great minds do sometimes think alike, but also great minds think separately and differently. That's how wonderful ideas are made. That's how they become reality. Because if I know something that you don't know, or if I'm thinking thoughts that never crossed your mind, and I share my insight and intuitiveness with you, then now you have learned something different, and vice versa. If you're sharing your thoughts and views with me, something that I never thought about, it never crossed my mind, I never heard of it, right? And then I can take what you have taught me and use that for my own benefits and to serve not only myself but others, and you can do the same. So great minds don't always think alike. Great minds sometimes think differently and come together in unison to create powerful forces of energy and to strategize, right? And grow and evolve together. So keep that in mind. Vince I Am from the UK says, I was catching up with a long lost friend while in the train back home to work. Okay, beloved, well, thank you for sharing that. I'm glad you caught up with your long lost friend. That's always good, right? Lady E said, always on time with the message, Queen. Thank you, beloved. And Melanated Brown says, let them think and say what they want. Just let your light shine through you by the way you move and operate. Absolutely, beloved. Absolutely. Let me tell you something. All you can do is do the best that you can do. Be authentic and true to yourself. Stand firm on your beliefs and have faith. Put your trust in the Most High. And you know, here's the thing. Don't expect anything from people. Because at the end of the day, no matter what kind of person you are, and there's a friend that I have, and I always have to remind them of this. They say, oh, well, why did they do this? I would never have done that. Why would they say that? I would never have said that. I said, beloved, that's because they're not you. Everyone has individual thoughts and views and opinions, and theirs may not always match up or add up to yours. Sometimes they're contrary, but we cannot expect people to treat us the way we treat them, or speak to us the way we speak to them, or do the things that we do, or think the thoughts that we think, because everyone is unique and different. And sometimes their contrary opinions may benefit us in some way. Even if it's something negative, it could still be used as a learning experience, a teachable moment, right? So try to find the silver cloud or the silver lining at the end of any dark cloud. Try to always look on the bright side of things and find something positive to take away from it, even if it's a negative situation. If you can do that, I guarantee you, you'll be more high vibrational. You'll feel less, depressed when things don't go your way. If you look at any negative thing that happens as a positive, find something positive to take away from it, right? Because there's always a positive, and there's always something positive you can take away from a negative situation, even if it's just something that you learned briefly. Okay? Angela says, we were put here by the uplifting and building of the Most High righteous divine kingdom only. Allow the Most High to download into you only and everything and everybody else is irrelevant. Absolutely. That's why you should not be worried about what people think. Let me tell you something before I close out. A lot of people spend their whole lives worrying, being consumed with what other people think of them. That's the last thing you should do, because at the end of the day, no matter how good of a person you are, no matter how helpful you are to other people, no matter how righteous you try to live and be, there's always someone somewhere who's going to have something negative to say about you, or they're going to have a negative opinion or thoughts of you. And you can't do anything about that. So don't worry about things that you can't change, and don't try to sway or change other people's opinions. Don't try to feel like you have to defend yourself. Don't act like you or feel like you have to defend your reputation or defend your way of thinking. Don't put yourself on the defense, because at the end of the day, those people are going to think whatever they want to think anyway. Don't even waste your time. That's low vibrational. It's a waste of energy, and it's very unproductive. And while you're wasting time on them, that person who wants to see you in a negative light, no matter what you say or do, at the end of the day, you'd be better served helping someone who sees you for the beautiful, unique, intelligent, magnificent, godly person that you are. And if you're not any of those things that I just said, please try to work on it and evolve until you become those things. Okay? That's all the best we can do. All we can do is do the best that we can do. And that's it. So, time out for foolishness. It's real out here, says Angela. Absolutely, beloved. Pearlie says, Queen, I had a bad day at work. Thank you for this. I needed this. Well, thank you, beloved, for tuning in. And I hope you have a better day tomorrow. And, you know, the thing is this. We all have good days and bad days. But one thing we must always remember is that there's another day coming, right? There's another day. You always have another chance. You have two things, a chance and a choice. And you can always make a better day for yourself tomorrow. Stay in high vibrational and don't worry about what happened yesterday, right? Focus on the next day and do the best you can do for that day. And don't let low vibrational people make you feel bad about yourself or lower your energy, and never allow other people or another person to dictate your mood. You know how some people love to push your buttons? They purposely say things that they know are going to set you off, that are going to trigger you, and they do these things on purpose. Don't give them the pleasure. Even if they upset you or make you feel bad or whatever, don't let them know it, because that gives them satisfaction. And I'm going to tell you something. People who want to upset me, I'm not going to give them the pleasure of thinking that they have lowered my energy. Because some people absolutely do it on purpose, and that's because they're low vibrational, and so they can't see you up there vibrating all high with this higher level of consciousness and clearly evolving into your Christ-like or your God-like self. They just can't have that. So the demons in them are clearly threatened by the God that's in you. Okay? So keep that in mind. With that all being said, Angela says, I enjoyed this session, Queen. Thank you. Well, thank you all, beloved. Thank you all for tuning in. Listen, this was just off the cuff. I didn't prepare anything. I was in a Zoom call, and before I came on here, and I said, you know, I haven't prepared anything, so I just came off the cuff. Sometimes you just go with the flow, right? You just say what's on your heart, and whatever is within you comes out. And so that's what we have to do sometimes. So with that all being said, I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. Please like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Click the notification bell. Click the word all so that you're notified each time I go live. And I hope to see you all later on today, very shortly, probably around 4, right? For the first dose of your daily vitamins. So until next time, Royals, please enjoy the rest of this lovely day. Stay high vibrational, positive. Do something constructive and productive, right? Do something, or at least say something kind to someone else today. I'm sure it'll not only brighten their day, but it'll brighten yours as well. And so I love you all to life, and I hope to see you all in the next chats. Until next time, beloveds, I'll talk to you all again soon.